Yes, welcome back to my F1 2021 My Team Crew Mode, where we're joined for episode number 14 today for the Singapore Grand Prix in Season 1. So, we're not hoping for amazing things this time out, as Singapore it's one of my bogey tracks in the calendar. I'm not the best at it, and paired with a Season 1 My Team car, I'm not going to do as well as I might do with a better car, you know what I mean? So hopefully anyway we'll be able to do better than we did last time out. And if you did miss the previous episode, then be sure to go back and watch that one before you watch this one today. Last time out we were in Russia and we had a bit of a calamity. We had an amazing qualifying session that was just let down by our ability to keep the car on the track. Basically, we spun out and moved down the order, but eventually we clawed our way back up into a good finishing position, to be honest, considering how far we fell down the order. Hopefully we can do better this time out. We weren't in the points last time out, and hopefully we can aim to get a couple on the board at Singapore. And first up, we've got to change a few sponsors, but we decided to stick with the same one, PSD sponsor, as I think it gave us the best payout considering our position in this My Team Career Mode. And we also get a couple upgrades come through. We got an aerodynamic upgrade come through, and unfortunately our powertrain, it didn't actually come through this time around, so we're going to have to spend a bit more time working on that one to hopefully push us up in the performance charts. We're currently sat second from bottom, which is woeful at this stage in the career mode, but we've got loads of upgrades coming through, and we're not actually that far off of 4 or 5 teams that are ahead of us. We're really the tiniest of margins off them, so relatively speaking we are right there amongst the thick of it. We're right there in the midfield fight, and hopefully we can aim to get those points and fight amongst the 4 or 5 teams ahead of us. As we got the same power unit and power performance going out on the track, so hopefully if our driving ability is up for it, then we'll be in with a chance. But our performance isn't going to be the only thing that might let us down today, as our turbocharger is going to need replacing going into this Singapore Grand Prix. Now, it's not going to result in a grid drop to the back of the grid, but it is going to result in us losing out on a few places. I think it might only be a 5-place grid drop or a 10-place grid drop. So we're going to have to try and push as hard as we can to fight in this qualifying session, because at the end of the day, we know that we're going to be pegged back right at the end of our qualifying session and going into the Sunday's race. And also, it's going to spur us on if we can get a great qualifying and lap time in, and just starting amongst the thick of it it really spur us on to better things, I think. But because of that engine replacement, we've only got 5 minutes to set our first lap time. We set it in and we're currently last on the grid, so this is now or never. We have to be setting a better lap time that's going to shoot us into that Q2 session. And we make it through sector 1, and it's a green sector 1, but we haven't really improved too much on our previous lap time, so we need to do a lot more work in these next 2 sectors if we want to get through into Q2. And like I said before, we have the performance to be able to get past the people ahead of us. Our teammate Drogovic, Mazepin, Giovinazzi, they're all cars that we should be able to out-qualify every single race even. And at this stage in my career mode, it's a disappointment if we can't get through into Q3. And as we make our way down the final straight with 3 tenths up on, almost 4 tenths up on our previous lap time, what's it going to be? Are we going to get through into Q2? And sadly, we won't. We won't manage to do it, and it's by quite some margin as well, whereas we're down in last place as Fernando Alonso for some reason didn't even set a lap time. And look at that, we're a whole second off the mark, and that's the difference between us making it through to Q2. And even our teammate Drogovic, she outscores us in this qualifying session, and that's just unheard of in this career mode series. I think we've only been outscored by him once, and that was at Monaco. Leclerc, Verstappen and Hamilton, they top the charts in Q3, but will we be able to do it into Q1?
Against the spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline, Formula One returns once again to do battle in what tends to become something of an endurance race, with the notorious sauna-like temperatures in the cockpit making for an extremely physically challenging Grand Prix. The Marina Bay Street Circuit then has 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right, taking us a total of 3.1 miles around the landmarks of downtown Singapore. An average lap speed around here, just 107 miles per hour. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Why don't we discuss McLaren? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Daniel Ricciardo slotting in alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Perez, Lando Norris and Leclerc, Sainz, Gasly, Tsunoda and Sebastian Vettel, Raikkonen, Verstappen, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, Lance Stroll and Russell, Latifi, Ocon, Antonio Giovinazzi and Felipe Drugovich, Mazepin, Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher, they've taken a grid penalty, and Shah. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
So yeah, we will be starting from the back of the grid at Singapore this time out because of our woeful experience in qualifying and our engine replacement that we needed to do. We're going to be doing a 2-stop today, hoping that the fresher tyres will come in handy around this hot, heated track. So the 5 red lights of the hot, sweaty Singapore Grand Prix in Season 1, and it is lights out and away we go. Daniel Ricciardo getting quite a fast start up against the top markers, but right here, right at the back of the grid, where he gets the back markers of the Haas cars, we make a dive down to the inside of our teammate Drugovich, making our way up a few places at the start around these first couple of left-hand turns as we try to dance and shimmy our way through the back of the grid. But now we're up against our teammate on the inside. He's up against Alonso as well, both fighting for position, 3 wide into the corner as Drugovich makes contact with us on the exit, and now we're racing Alonso down the first DRS straight, without DRS of course, down into turn 7 as we go late on the brakes as possible, narrowly avoiding Drugovich there on the exit, and now we make the dive bomb down the inside into turn 8, a little switchback manoeuvre as Drugovich just fails to cover us off, and he is not letting up here today in Singapore at all as he makes a bit of contact with us on the exit of that corner. We go around the outside, but I think he just tried to go a bit too deep into that corner. Now Giovinazzi and Schumacher are fighting for position up ahead, which makes Ocon goes a bit slow, and we almost go straight into the back of Esteban Ocon. But we make the dive bomb down the inside now into the hairpin, and that is a lovely little move. He just once again the AI just failing to cover us off in this Grand Prix. But now let's have a little look at that same move we made on our teammate going into turn 8. We rather confidently tried to make the move down the inside, but Drugovich, he sticks to his racing line, thinks he's got the overspeed to make it through the turn number 9, and instead he almost goes into the side of us and crashes out of this Grand Prix. But luckily for him, stays on the track. We both stay on the track, and we can get on with this race. But now we're looking onto the back of Mick Schumacher as we enter lap number 2. DRS still not activated as we're having to use ERS to try and make the move past him. We have a little shimmy and look into the inside of Mick Schumacher, but we think better of it and abandon that move and try again next time on the next straight. Mick gets a great exit though, so maybe he'll be able to stay ahead of us down this second DRS straight. Now we've got the slipstream, we've still got ERS saved up as we begin to open ourselves up for another move down into turn 7, faking to the left, going to the right this time, round the outside of Mick Schumacher, and that moves us up into P number 17. Now let's take another look at the start of this race with our leaders of the Singapore Grand Prix, and Lewis Hamilton gets a great getaway from the start line. He's already almost like a second ahead by this point by turn number 2, but Daniel Ricciardo moves himself up into second place, and Valtteri Bottas, he needs this race, he needs the race win today to be able to keep his title hopes alive realistically, because Hamilton, he's running away with it. The form he's in is dangerous. He's on for his 8th title win, and that man needs to be stopped. Ricciardo though looking sharp today as he did in his Spa win. Bottas in 3rd, Verstappen in 4th place. Norris moves up into P number 5, and then we got Leclerc, I think that's Gasly in behind him. Both AlphaTauris actually up the order in today's race. Carlos Sainz right there amongst the thick of it, and Kimi Raikkonen, he's on for some points here today as well. moving through the laps now. It's lap number 4, which is still chasing after Giovinazzi after making a move on Schumacher earlier on in the race. And we're still trying to catch up with the Alfa Romeo man. And Latifi, he's doing a mega job as well to stick with Giovinazzi. 2 laps later though, and I'm really starting to feel the tyre wear here today at the Singapore Grand Prix. Our front right tyre, it's in the red region, 110 degrees our core tyre temperature is. And I think we just need to get off these medium tyres. They're really not a good race tyre, and I feel like if we move on to some hard tyres, then hopefully we'll be able to keep the tyre temperatures down and have some better race pace in us, because obviously just then we weren't even close to catching the Alfa Romeo car. And we really need to start gaining some time on our opponents if we stand any chance moving up into these points today. And starting from the back of the grid, anything is an improvement on where we started, and we just got nothing to gamble. So let's risk it all. Let's try and get onto some fresh set of tyres and start getting some better race pace in us. But as you can see, the tyre temperature is still coming round to haunt us. But as you can see, also Giovinazzi's just come out of the pits and we're ahead of him. We're ahead of the Italian man we're trying to catch. So that's hopefully some good news to show that we've got some better race pace from these hard tyres. And hopefully if I just keep this menu up on my screen, I can try and just counteract it and keep these tyre temperatures down, because obviously it's still having an effect round this circuit with the hard tyres. So it's going to be something that we're going to have to try and control every single lap of this race, and it's not going to go away. Maybe it's because of the setup we chose, but nevertheless we still got to... whoa, I think Giovinazzi just made some contact with us into the back of us. I just heard a massive shunt, and I don't know what just happened there. We made a little bit of a late break into that corner, but you can just see he's starting to drop away in the mini-map down in the bottom left. And I think that's just resulted in him gaining some damage from just trying to be too confident and trying to jump us. He's resulted in needing another pit stop when he's just come out of the pit lane. And sadly for Mick Schumacher, who's ahead of us, behind us now, he's had to DNF from this Grand Prix. That's very sad for the German driver, as he won't do too badly in this race. And we now get the jump on his teammate Nikita Mazepin, who's in the pit lane, as well as Fernando Alonso. So that's moved us up a couple more positions into P number 18. So albeit the early pit stop from the mediums onto the hards, although our mediums definitely could have gone with some more laps, it definitely had some more laps in them, we just certainly didn't feel like the tyre had any race pace to them. And I feel like getting onto these hards has really helped us in gaining some track positions, at least anyway, even though they are just making their regular pit stops. We'll have to see at the end of this race where we fare against these drivers. And as you may have just seen, we also got Latifi, who also went into the pit stops, and now we're checkerboarded with the Williams drivers. At least we were until Fernando Alonso came and ruined the party. He's now up into P16 just behind us, and only a second behind us, so he's flying right now. I think when he came out of the pit lane, he was a good 3 seconds behind us, and now he's just half a second behind us after that last corner. And we're really starting to feel the pressure from the Spaniard. He's flying at the minute, and he's now looking to size up and move down, maybe round the outside. We go late on the brakes, and I think he may have just made some contact with us. Yes, he has. He's going slow, just like Giovinazzi did, and that's something we just didn't want to see. I felt so bad on Giovinazzi's part that he had to go back into the pit stops, and I think the same's just happened to Fernando Alonso there. He's tried to make a bold move on us, tried to go round the outside. We obviously ended up locking up, and I think that may have been what put off Fernando Alonso from making the move. And he's now got a bit of front wing damage. He's having to make another pit stop, which I feel really bad about. We've ruined 2 people's races so far, and how many more will we ruin in today's race, as Raikkonen and Gasly both now make their pit stops, and now we're up into P13. Gasly actually coming out just ahead of us into P12, and can we follow the Frenchman through and into catching George Russell? Maybe he's a fair way up ahead in the distance, 19 seconds ahead, but we never know what will happen in this race. At the minute, he is flying though, and we're not catching up with him anytime sooner. We're now setting red sectors after red sectors with these old hard tyres now, and I'm sure it won't be long until we may need to make another pit stop if we get the opportunity to, because yeah, we could maybe go on to the end with these hard tyres, but we definitely would be going down the order if we were to do so. And especially as we've got such a big train coming in behind us, the whole of the pack behind us are right there on our tail, and it's only going to take one mistake, one little slip up, and we'll end up letting all those cars through like we did in Russia that time. Last time out, and now we've lost the back end. We spun it. We're now sideways at the bridge section, and we made a calamity here today at the Singapore Grand Prix, just like how we did in Russia. We made a horrible mistake, and now that's ended a couple other drivers' races. That's just not what we wanted to see, and we're having a horrendous day out here at Singapore. As you saw, we lost the back end. We just had a bit of oversteer, went sideways at the bridge section of the Singapore Grand Prix, and yeah, there was no way that we could have saved that or even saved the races of the other drivers, because we went sideways at that tight bridge section, and that you can only let another car pass there realistically when they know about it, and when other drivers are that close to you in a field like that, in a field spread like that, they're just not going to know what's hit them, especially coming around that blind corner. You could just see this pile up waiting to happen as Fernando Alonso got quite lucky making his way through there, and I think that Tsunoda crashed into the back of Drugovich, only having some front wing damage, and then the Haas car, Nikita Mazepin, just clipped him on his way through, and Giovinazzi didn't really have, Kimi Räikkönen didn't really have much of a chance to save himself from that error there, as yeah, you can see on this helmet cam his lack of visibility. He got completely blindsided by this pile up, and it's just one of those unfortunate things for all drivers involved, really. Now this has resulted in a safety car, as well as 2 5-second penalties. So there's a 5-second penalty for myself and for Mazepin, which is only fair, I think, because we were both at fault for both of the DNFs, really. And although a safety car is never what you really want in F1, it's come out at the right time for us, to be honest, because we needed to make the pit stop onto some fresh tyres, because we were just losing some race pace just then. And yeah, it's just something that we didn't really plan to happen, but it's happened, and that's become very fortunate for us. But someone who's lost out in this pit stop is Nicholas Latifi. He was ghosted whilst Drugovich made his way into the pit stop. He was stopped behind me, and for some reason it made the Williams car ghost, and Drugovich is now, and Latifi, they're both at the back of this grid, or at the front of this grid, should I say, as my teammate Drugovich, he's having to put up a bit of a fight with Lewis Hamilton as he's trying to barge his way past, and I think that's resulted in Hamilton getting a 5-second time penalty. So there's lots of confused faces back at the paddock, but for some reason Hamilton tried to overtake the back market of Drugovich, thinking he can make his way past underneath the safety car, which he just couldn't do, and that's resulted in him getting a penalty, which he really didn't need, and that just put the title up for grabs now. As can Bottas, can he reclaim his stance in this title fight, and can he now find his form and find his rhythm again to be able to compete and dethrone the 7-time world champion? But someone who's going to get dethroned right now is Nikita Mazepin, as we've been told to pass him, even though we're just about to catch up with the safety car. So for whatever reason, the Haas car was going very slow in terms of trying to catch up with the safety car, and that's just gained us a free position before the safety car even starts, which is great on our side. But later that lap, and the safety car is in, and the Grand Prix restarts. And can we get the jump on Giovinazzi, and Alonso just ahead of us? We make the dive bomb down to the inside of Giovinazzi, cutting across him towards the outside as we way past Felipe, and now we're up into P15 just behind Alonso. And can we maybe get some points from this race after the safety car restart? This has worked wonders for us, and being on these fresh tyres now, can we finally start attacking the cars ahead as we can. Now on Alonso trying to make a move round the outside, carefully does it, but now I think Alonso spun just behind us. He caught our back end, and we were way past him round the outside. He tried to cut across us like we did on Giovinazzi there, and for some reason he went into the back of us. We were way past him on the order. Now a bunch of cars are coming. They've decided now is the best time to come in, maybe because they're now facing some tyre wear issues, but I don't know why they didn't come in underneath the safety car for whatever reason. And as we found out, obviously the track temperatures are very hot around Singapore, and it's a nightmare to try and control your tyre temperatures. And maybe now all the teams are now finding the tyre wear too hard to handle. But now on the second DRS straight, we're loving it. We're on the back of George Russell here. Whoa, making it way too close for comfort against the walls of Singapore, and maybe we just need to be a bit more patient like we have done right now. And now we're up into P number 9, but just then we need to take things down a notch as we're up into the points. That's more than we could have ever wanted from the back of the grid. And yeah, we are flying right now. Purple sector in sector 1, a green sector in sector 2, and with 3 laps to go, I think that's all that we'll be able to manage for today. With Gasly, I think he's way too fast for us, but right at the sharp end of things, Lewis Hamilton, he did a superb drive today, but unfortunately that time penalty has let him down in the grand scheme of things, and it'll be Valtteri Bottas who will nick the lead of this race and potentially of this championship come the end of the season. Has this stirred things up a bit? And can Valtteri now find his form once again like he did at the beginning of the season? Lewis Hamilton has dominated ever since then. And yeah, will he be able to get it? But as you can see, we somehow got driver of the day after ruining so many drivers' races.
It's never easy to make it across the finish line here in Singapore, but they've done so with some style here today to take a remarkable victory. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
So yeah, as we can see on the victory parade, Bottas, Perez and Leclerc all make it onto the podium, with Ricciardo and Hamilton missing out. Hamilton obviously with that time penalty, he missed out on a whole podium down into P5. That's a lot of points lost and a lot of points gained for Bottas, and it's a lot of points gained for us as well, as it was a woeful race for us until the turning point of the safety car. And I'm sure questions are going to be asked in the media whether we planned for all this or not, because I certainly didn't, but things just went our way somehow, even though we were just a mobile chicane for most drivers today. And I'm sure a lot of drivers in the paddock will be very angry with us today for our performance. But nevertheless, we have scavenged some points here today at Singapore, yeah, it's an entertaining race to say the least. But thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. If you did enjoy this episode, then hit that like button down below. And if you're after more F1 My Team content, or even just Formula 1 content in general, then hit that subscribe button down below, as I'm sure we'll have loads more content out on this channel for the up and coming season. So until next time, I'll see you later.